Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we discuss the Blood Ravens chapter, as we ask if it's time for their secret to be exposed, and just why hasn't it happened yet? General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we are discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But, with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay, the Blood Ravens, stars of the Dawn of War series, and as a result, a hugely popular chapter amongst the fanbase. Or at least they used to be, as things have been fairly quiet on the Blood Raven front, at least for the past few years now. It is undoubtable that outside the events of Dawn of War, perhaps a large element of that popularity is the mystery and intrigue that accompanies them, the truth of their Primarch and lineage. It's a mystery that is lost to time. And though we have received several hints and possible teases over the years, the mystery still endures, and it's still one that dominates the nature of the chapter. However, in this new Imperium of Primaris Marines, is it time we saw a further development regarding this age-old mystery? So what exactly is the current status of the Blood Ravens? Well, like many chapters across the Imperium, they were absolutely devastated at the opening of the Great Rift. And I'm not talking about their feelings. Being a fleet-based chapter since the fall of their homeworld, communication across the chapter was shattered, and as a result, many forces were simply left to fend for themselves, doing what little they could to answer the outpouring of calls for aid that they received. However, as the chapter verged on the edge of extinction, it was then that the gift of Belisarius Cawl arrived. A torchbearer fleet, led by Custodes shield captain Pertinax, finally found its Blood Ravens quarry. And despite an initial tense meeting, they delivered the gift of the returned Primarch Rabute Guilliman, bestowing the Blood Ravens chapter with the ability to create new Primaris recruits. Since then, the amount of time transpired isn't fully known, but it has been several years. The Blood Ravens have fully replenished their losses with these new recruits, having been sighted not only amongst Guilliman's Indomitus fleets, but also amidst the Imperium Nihilus, battling near the Storm of the Emperor's Wrath and the infamous Scourge Stars. So we can say unanimously that the Blood Ravens have remained steadfastly loyal during this time, and that they have sufficiently recovered from their precarious position as a chapter. Now, with that said, loyalty for the most part was never really the issue for the Blood Ravens. Yes, there may have been a few swept under the rug situations in the past, but anyone that knows Chapter Master Gabriel Angelos knows that he would rather die than turn from the Emperor's light. But what was the issue, and very much still is the issue, is their true heritage. While the gift of the Primaris was nothing more than a boon of extra weapons and resources to most chapters across the Imperium, to the Blood Ravens, it was a gift of finally getting more insight into their true identity. Pure gene seed, delivered straight from the vaults of Mars itself. Never have the Ravens received such a tantalizing prospect, for this gene seed surely must come from their Primarch himself. And whether or not it revealed all the answers the Blood Ravens seeked isn't necessarily the question or point. What is that they must have been able to gain some new information from this. So what was it? Is it time that we saw this mystery deepen, for it to begin to unravel? Outside the lore from a fan perspective, while there's been many possible chapters or Primarchs suggested for their heritage, the main and most likely one, given the traits that the Bloodravens showcase, is the Thousand Sons Legion, and their Primarch Magnus the Red. However, having this Torchbearer fleet bringing their gene seed from the vaults of Mars, does this throw doubt onto that fan theory? You would certainly assume so. I mean, one of the Emperor's own custodians bringing traitor gene seed across the Imperium, the mere thought of that is, well, heresy in itself. But then, on the other hand, could this be the one piece of evidence that we have of Belisarius Cawl disobeying Roboute Guilliman's decree and actually having used the traitor gene seed? Just maybe not exactly how Guilliman or even Cawl himself expected. Surely in looking into the gene seed of all the individual chapters, Belisarius would have noticed the difference in the Bloodravens gene seed. We don't know who they are supposed to be descended from, which Primarch and Legion is labelled as their founder. But this question is undoubtedly known within the Vaults of Terror, and thus the Vaults of Mars. The official answer at least. If it's labelled as the Blood Angels, for example, but they are true sons of Magnus, an oddity like that would have never escaped Cawl's notice. It would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And so it really raises some tantalising prospects. Firstly, the Bloodravens' mystery is no mystery at all. They receive their gene seed from Mars because at the end of the day, they are simply a loyal chapter. The vault in Mars says, I don't know, Sanguinius, and well, that's the gene seed the Bloodravens have. Just because they forgot who their Primarch is, well, that's no fault of Mars. It's all a mystery of their own creation. However, on the other hand, maybe Cawl did notice a discrepancy, and immediately he identified it as gene seed belonging to, say, Magnus the Red. However here, rather than call out the traitor chapter to Guilliman, he decided to send them the gene seed and gift of Primaris anyway, keeping the secret all to himself. Here, a loyal chapter, having served the Imperium for centuries, despite having a traitor Primarch's gene seed. The temptation was simply too much for Belisarius Cawl, now possessing his own unique experiment, unknown to the rest of the Imperium, and most importantly, unknown to Guilliman. All the proof that Cawl needed that gene seed alone does not mean corruption. Something along those lines could open a whole myriad of possible story avenues. Belisarius Cawl analysing and observing the chapter from afar, maybe being drawn in by a set of particular events, or the Bloodravens' own investigations, which in turn could bring in the censure of Belisarius Cawl himself. It certainly would be an interesting situation, the Bloodravens nearly unravelling the mystery, but with Belisarius not being able to let the truth of his own transgressions be exposed, which if the Bloodravens did unravel the truth, would certainly unravel Cawl's own dubious actions, because quite simply there's no way they would have received the gift of Primaris without Belisarius having known the truth. Having something like that transpire amid the darkness of the Imperium Nihilus, unknown to the wider Imperium, now that would be absolutely amazing. Something that would give us answers to those long answered questions, but also keep it unknown to the wider Imperium. Man, that would be awesome. Gabriel Angelos going toe to toe, coming face to face with Belisarius himself. Now there are many other possibilities out there. Perhaps the most wild card scenario is the fact that the Thousand Sons and Magnus are now within the Imperium, attempting to build his new kingdom upon the ruins of Prospero. How long can it truly be before the Bloodravens are drawn into this war zone? Would Magnus recognize his true sons? And just what would happen if he did? Would he be enraged, or would he try to turn them to his cause? That's an interesting question we'll answer another day. Quite simply, one way or another, the Bloodravens did use this opportunity to further try and answer the riddle of their past. The question is, just what, if anything, did they discover? And why haven't we seen the answers yet? It's a difficult one to answer, because it's the mysteries of the 40k universe that make it so fascinating. It's that yearning and wondering for answers that give it such an amazing appeal. Answering all of those questions does take away some of the unique luster. So it's in the middle ground that we need to walk. An insight into the Bloodravens' investigations, some revelation or culmination, yet not answering the riddle entirely, keeping that mystique still there. However, one thing is for sure, given the Bloodravens have had possession of their gene seed for quite some time, there most certainly must be answers ahead. And hopefully, some new revelation will come to light very soon. But as always guys, what do you think? Why do you think we haven't had any Bloodravens answers yet? And will they be coming soon? And if so, just what mystery might those answers contain? As always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.